As a former emergency manager at the federal level, I spent years planning shelter-in-place events and scenarios for everything from tornadoes to hurricanes to terrorist events. The basic supplies that we always put together remained the same. Now, you can go extravagant with your emergency preparedness if you choose to. If you want gadgets and gadgets for every little scenario, that's fine. Or you can spend just a little bit of money and a little bit of time, gather up some basics, and now you are better prepared for whatever the situation happens to be. My name is Dan. I spent years as a first responder and then transitioned into emergency management and worked at the federal level for a number of years. So today, we're going to go through some very basic supplies that I keep on hand in my basement just in case something happens. One of the basic rules is to stay informed. Keep your situational awareness as much as you absolutely can. One of the better ways that you can stay informed is just by buying one of these cheap little weather radios. They're absolutely fantastic. Not only does it get AM and FM bands, but also gets the weather band. So you're able to stay more informed as to what's happening around you and possibly even get a better sense of when first responders might be able to make it to you. It does have a battery. It's rechargeable. I check it usually about once a month to make sure it's fully charged. But even if it's not, it does have a hand crank to where I can fully start cranking this and it will charge this for me. It operates as a battery backup, so I can plug my phone into here as well, and it'll charge my phone as long as there's battery there. It has a flashlight on the front, but it also has an SOS button. I can push the SOS button, and it lets out this ear-piercing tone that will help first responders locate me, help people know that I'm actually there and that I need some assistance. It's a very low-cost way to where your situational awareness can be multiplied, and you can start receiving and keep receiving information. Talking about the basics a little bit more. Flashlights. Lights are going to be necessary when the power goes out. If anything, because humans have a natural fear of the dark, especially if you have little ones. That situation by itself is scary. And then you put loud thunderstorms, an earthquake, whatever it happens to be on top of it. They're going to want to be able to see. That by itself is going to give you and them just a little bit more comfort. Now, I have a selection of lights right here that stay inside of a little bag. It's kind of my first grab bag off of the shelf. I grab that bag, I open it up, and that's what gets me started in whatever the event or the emergency happens to be. Inside of that bag, I have a flashlight that I keep inside of a zip top bag. The reason I keep this inside of the zip top bag is because this is the only light in that bag that has the batteries inside of it. If you are experienced with anything with batteries, you know that if you leave them in a device long enough, they start to corrode. Then that doesn't work. Then that device is probably pretty useless and you're going to need to throw it away. So this is the first one that I can grab. Inside of the Ziploc, I keep it in there. That way, even if it does corrode, even if the batteries do burst, even if something does happen, it's nice and contained right here. I keep several other flashlights in there as well, and I keep the batteries separate inside of a plastic container. This keeps the battery tips from touching each other, which keeps them from shorting out, keeps them from draining. This will keep them live a lot longer. Along with that, I have several headlamps inside of there so that we can all work hands-free, as well as a lantern. Again, these are just cheap little supplies to help get me through the first 72 hours. This isn't my first grab bag. I open it, I open this, I turn on the flashlight, then I can start putting everything else together. It does not have to be extensive. It doesn't have to be expensive. You can go onto one of your online shopping markets and get all of this stuff at a fairly reasonable price and be so much better prepared. Now, if you've gotten as far as to need to shelter in place, whether that's in a basement, in a closet, in a bathtub, there's a chance that you're going to need some sort of medical supplies, whether that just be for a boo-boo that the little one gets or a big laceration to your arm. It could be a broken leg, and you really should be prepared with the basics for all of those scenarios. What I keep with me is the trauma first aid kit from Prep 'em Wild. Everything in here has a purpose. Everything in here is useful, and it's not the cheap stuff. I implore you, do not buy the cheap stuff when it comes to first aid. I have seen tourniquets break because they cost $20. I have seen gauze that is just way too thin to do much of anything because it costs 6 cents a piece. When it comes to your health, welfare, and your safety, please purchase something decent. It does not have to be a couple $100s, but as long as you have something that you are confident is going to get the job done and you've practiced with it, therefore you know how to use it, you're going to be so much better prepared than just having your standard little kit that's got a couple Band-Aids and maybe a roll of gauze in there. So I definitely keep a good medical kit. This is probably the most expensive thing that I keep in that first grab bag, and that's purposeful. Another thing to think through, no matter how your house is built or what it's made out of, is that there's a possibility of rubble. There's a possibility of sharp glass. There's a possibility of a numerous amount of things that could hurt you, harm you, or cut you. So I keep good leather gloves in this kit as well. So if I need to move pieces of glass out of the way, if I need to move shards of rock out of the way, even pieces of drywall or 2x4s that have splintered, I want to make sure that I am as well protected as I'm grabbing these things and manipulating them as I possibly can be. If my job is to help my family, my friends, or others throughout whatever the situation or scenario is, I don't want to become a casualty. I don't want to harm myself, and if I can absolutely prevent it. And this is a very quick, cheap, and easy way to prevent harm to myself. Another thing to think about is I keep a very small toolkit as well. Screwdrivers, hammers, wrench, all of that good stuff, pair of pliers, just in case. You never know what the situation is, and you never know what you're going to be faced with, so I like to be prepared for whatever it happens to be. Now, I have a little one, and I guarantee you that we're going to be down in the basement for about a minute and a half before she says, "Daddy, I'm bored." Well, I keep chem lights as well. These are great for lighting. These are great for hanging up, and they'll stay lit for 12 to 24 hours, depending on the ones that you get. They're fantastic, but they're also great toys for the kid. It's small, you pop it, you shake it up a little bit, and now there's light. It's just something to play with, nevertheless. I also keep some games and stuff down there just in case. But one thing that a lot of people don't think through, and I do because I have a little girl whose bladder is about the size of a peanut, is this little collapsible potty. It's fantastic. It's absolutely great. So I can keep this down in the basement. I can set it up if she absolutely needs it, because about 5 minutes into the scenario, I'm going to hear, "Daddy, I have to go potty. What are you going to do?" So I've got the little potty. It has bags inside of it to act as a liner. I've got some sanitary wipes to where she can clean herself up, and we're all that more prepared for a situation and a scenario that a lot of people probably do not think through. So if you have a little one, make sure you're caring for them as well. Not only their health and welfare, not only their boredom, but also for any other small little needs that they may happen to have. One of the best things that you can do to be better prepared has nothing to do with equipment. It has everything to do with knowledge. If you can make yourself more knowledgeable about situation scenarios, survival, emergency management, emergency preparedness, whatever it happens to be, your level of anxiety is going to dramatically fall because you've already game planned this out in your head. You read that book that walks you through the scenario. You kind of have an idea on where to start and what to do. So knowledge is a fantastic thing. I recommend Kevin Estella. He is a preparedness and survival expert that has taught all over the place and continues to. His books are fantastic. You can go to YouTube, you can learn all kinds of survival techniques, you can go onto the internet and you can read all kinds of articles that's going to help you be better prepared for whatever the situation or scenario happens to be. There are checklists out there that will walk you through everything that you need, from the basics all the way to extremes, for whatever scenario you could possibly dream up. It's 2026. We have access to the internet. Therefore, we have access to an unlimited amount of knowledge. So instead of sitting there doom scrolling and watching me, go through and get a little bit more knowledge and go a little bit more in depth. That way you're better prepared when anything happens. Now, last but most certainly not least, let's talk about food and water. However you store that, please make sure that you do. If you hear that the storm is coming, so you go and you fill up your bathtub, please do that. If you take gallons of water down to your basement, please do that. As long as you're better prepared, that's the entire goal here. Me personally, I have an absolute ton of these little bags of emergency water. These are from Mayday Supply. I think they have like a 5-year shelf life on them or something like that, but they're extremely easy, they're extremely portable, and they work extremely well. I have a bunch of them downstairs inside of a container. I have this bag that I keep in my first grab bag. That way, if I can't shelter in my exact location that I have planned for, which is possible, and I have to move to another location within my house, I still have water, and I can still probably get to whatever it is that I need to get to once things calm down a little bit. So however you're storing water, just please make sure that you do. Now let's talk about food. The government recommends that you keep 2,000 calories of food per person per day on hand in case of emergency. If that takes the form of non-perishable cans, fantastic. If that takes the form of something in a pouch, fantastic. If that takes the form of something freeze-dried or dehydrated, fantastic, as long as you're better prepared. But with all of those things, make sure that you're thinking through the prep necessary with whatever that happens to be. If you're using a canned good, do you have a can opener right there with your food? If you're using something dehydrated, do you have the extra water, not your drinking water, the extra water to rehydrate it? And do you have a way to heat it and bring it up to temperature? And can you do so safely? With this, of course, I have essential provisions on hand. I have a couple sporks downstairs. It's nice and simple. I open the top and I start eating it. I don't have to heat it up. I don't have to add anything to it. High calorie, high protein, the cleanest ingredient label that you could possibly find, and the entire family loves the flavor of everything. My kid loves the bison stew. So I've got that covered. If I need something small, just a quick hit of energy, or maybe my little one's just starting to get whiny, I have Sustain down there as well. Of course I do. The chocolate orange ginger, she says it tastes like cake batter. So if she's getting a little whiny, she needs a morale pick me up, I just need to feed her something, and I know that this isn't going to last too terribly long. Here you go, sweetheart, have one of these, and she absolutely loves it. The ingredient profile is the same as the meals, so it's all extremely clean, so I feel really good about feeding it to her. But the main point of it is I have food and I have water on hand. Whatever that looks like for you, that looks like for you, as long as you are prepared. That's the entire point, that's the entire goal. All right, so those are the basics. We've got food, we've got water, we've got medical, and we've got communication. We've got knowledge. Those are the basics. You don't have to get too extravagant. Now, of course, emergency preparedness guy, I have all kinds of things set up in my basement ready to go. I've got small GMRS radios. I've got small ham radios. I've got a satellite backup communications device. You don't need all of that. This is my profession, which is why I have these things. If you want to go above and beyond and you want to go a little bit further and you want to get the extra stuff, by all means, if you can do so, feel free. But if you need to prepare on a bit of a budget, the basics are all that you really need. And I hope that today I've walked you through enough to keep you better prepared and at least give you a starting point of where you can go from today and to move forward. We're in hurricane season. Tornadoes ripped apart the West not that long ago. If it's a flood, if it's a tornado, if it's a hurricane, at least have some basic supplies on hand. That way, again, you're not just going to survive, but you're going to thrive, and you're better prepared today than you were yesterday. My name is Dan. If you like this kind of content, please let me know. If you want to go a little bit further into some more preparedness supplies that you have on hand, please drop a comment below, and I'm happy to go through absolutely anything I can to get you more knowledgeable and more prepared and ready to go.